So I saw something on CNN recently. They were basically talking about Barack Obama and this whole smear campaign where they're talking about how he grew up in a Muslim household, and it just got me thinking, how can a country be that ignorant? How can this possibly be important enough to merit a news cycle? At the same time, when you have this situation going on with Russia and Georgia, when you have the potential for a freaking European war, and this is what they're talking about, this is somehow important. I mean, what the fuck? Something is wrong here. This is just, it's not the way things should be. Especially not in a free country where people are free to be of any belief that they want or any non-belief that they want. It's not allowed to matter, and yet it does. I mean, it's just this level of ignorance that somehow you have to believe in the same imaginary friend that these really very right-wing people do. And they're using it as an instrument to try to get the vote out against Obama, which gets into an entirely other point, but that's for an entirely different video altogether. So basically, what it is I'm saying is this: it has gone to a point where the evangelical vote matters enough that they are kingmakers, that anyone who they don't approve of needs to somehow find a way to make the other guy look bad enough that they can be the lesser of two evils and get in by that. Not even by being a candidate. I mean, what the hell? And when they say that you'll never see an atheist get into office, this is what they're talking about. Because these same people, they assume that their book is the only place where anyone can derive morals from. And the funny thing is just how hilariously wrong they are. I can't remember which university it was, but there was a study done which basically ran brain scans of people performing altruistic acts. And what they discovered, interestingly enough, and some of us would say painfully obviously enough, was that basically altruism feels good. It actually triggers pleasure centers in the brain, sometimes that's triggered by eating and by sex. It's one of those things that people do because they do it. And it's something that would have evolved in simply because it helps the community to survive. And those who were able to help their community to survive were also more likely to survive themselves. Simply put. So that bit of ignorance is just completely off base. Now, this really does get to be a problem. It really does. Because this same group of people they're trying to turn the entire country into a theocracy by claiming that it already is. And what they're trying to do, essentially, is to take freedom away from people. Take the freedom of religion away from people. These are reactionaries who want desperately to somehow turn the world into their favor. And some of these people, even worse, actually think that bringing about the end of the world would be a good thing. And it's got them to the point of making decisions for people based on their religion that they have no right to make. I mean, any nuclear-armed country needs to restrict the ability for this kind of thinking to be spread And I don't mean that in terms of censorship. I mean that in terms of education. Teach people to think critically, to think rationally, and this sort of thing happens less. Take that away, and it happens more. And this has nothing to do with rationality being a bad thing, and everything to do with the fact that the truth can withstand rationality. That which is false cannot. And that is just the way of it. And again, with secular government, it shouldn't matter at all. It's not relevant because it's a secular government. Religion is not allowed to be a factor. It's not the way a secular government is supposed to make decisions. And the voluntary state is something. Well, that concept actually comes, while not technically being exactly written word for word in the Constitution, comes directly from Thomas Jefferson, and has been given constitutional force by the Supreme Court because it was coined, in fact, to explain the United States Constitution, and therefore, for all intents and purposes, should be considered part of it, simply because intent matters, and it was an explanation of the intent and meaning of the freedom of religion. Period. You cannot say that it is not part of the Constitution, because that makes it part of the Constitution. That's just, again, the way it is. If you don't like it, well, that's just kind of too damn bad. Stop complaining and stop lying. And stop trying to take away that freedom, that essential right. And if you ever want to start questioning why it's essential, think about it this way. What if you were the one on the other side of this coin? What if you were the one who was having your freedoms impeded so that somebody else could have their theocracy? Or so that somebody else could have their prayer in schools, or could have their theory of the way the world is taught? No, wait, I shouldn't say theory, because a theory denotes a scientific fact. Not a guess, but a scientific fact. And so, yeah, just a theory? I think not. Whereas, what I'm really talking about is a bullshit story. Nothing more, nothing less. Well, part to be less, but... And a bullshit story with no evidence to back it, nothing behind it. I'm sorry, but we cannot afford to teach other people's ignorance to future generations. Not if we want the world to get better. And please, tell me I'm not the only one who actually wants to see things improve around here, because it is pretty damn bad. I mean, really now. Tell me I'm not the only one who isn't willing to, I don't know, move to Hawaii and sit on a beach and watch the bombs explode. Because I really, really hope that my faith in humanity has not been misplaced. Because that would be kind of freaking depressing.